Yay! So hi, welcome to my channel and my challenge, which is now Me Made May Day. I'm going to check the date. 18. It's day 18. It's Monday the 18th of May. Hi, I'm Simone. I have a little business called Goblin Fruit where I do mostly a lot of business to business work. So as a pattern maker, sample maker, design assistant, I source things for people, all that kind of stuff, but this isn't about that. I also have my own label, Goblin Fruit. This is also not about that. Mostly this is my Me Made May challenge, which is wearing things that I made myself for every day in May, which turns out is not really enough as far as I'm concerned to constitute a wardrobe. Yeah, it's a little bit restricted. It's capsule wardrobe land. So I did make myself another pair of pants. I spoke about them briefly yesterday because it was a very non-productive day yesterday, which if you watch that video, you'll understand. So on Saturday night, I made a new pattern and I cut these. And then on Sunday morning, I proceeded to try and make them. But because it was the day that wasn't meant to be, I really tried to make a complete mess of them. And they're okay. Look, for a first run on a pattern, they're okay. I mean, I'm feeling very 60s. I'm feeling very, is it Emma Peel? I think I've got that wrong. But you know, I've got my 3/4 pants, my pedal pushers on, my capris, that's probably a better word for it, if we're going 60s. It's a little Lurex roll neck number that you haven't seen before either. So it's like, can you see Lurex leopard print? Again, that same pattern that I've done a million times before, just another variation. So this is cinched and elongated, and then I put a little band on the bottom, and the sleeves are 3/4-ish. Back to the pants. So the pants, while I was making them, this fabric, I was going, oh my god, this is such nana fabric. Because it is exactly the sort of fabric that my grandmother, my dad's mum, my little nan, Hilda, would have made things out of. She, on my dad's side of the family, like his mum, my grandmother, and his older sister, my Aunt Doreen, big sewers, all through my life. And my grandmother, as she got older, used to always make, with this really, really stretchy fabric, very basic tube skirts. She must have made hundreds of them. Just, you know, it's a rectangle and it's got one seam, and the bottom of that seam is a bit of a slit because it comes down to like here. And then it's just a casing with elastic in the middle. She must have made hundreds of them. And yeah, this sort of thick, stretchy, stable knit. But look, what I'm trying to do is just make tight-fitting, stretchy pants, pull on, pull off with elastic waist, that instead of having a side seam, so these have no side seam, they have a seam up the centre back of the butt. To try, a centre back seam makes your butt look good, and you can also get that cute little vent at the bottom on your calf, like at the bottom of the seam. This one isn't very pronounced, so you're probably not going to be able to see it. I didn't make it big enough, but that's another lesson learned. Anyway, the problems with them are, apart from the fact that they are really too big, like if I walk around too much, these pants are going to fall down. And, I mean, the fact that I made them in this check fabric has just highlighted every flaw, but it's also very helpful in a pattern making perspective, because I guess the most important part to get the grain line right would be straight up and down that side. And it's not too bad. It's wiggling around a little bit, but it's pretty much that line you can see straight up and down that side. But what happens is, as this piece twists down around your body, it does create a line that sort of emphasizes your hips, because it comes in here and then around over the hips and then starts to circle back in down again. And that's just the way that if you keep it on grain there, that continuous piece of pattern twists over, it does that. I mean, on the plus side, it does create a cute little sort of yoke pattern over your butt, which is quite flattering. But that's probably not as much, particularly since it just comes, it's going to pull out at the one place that you least want it to pull out. And I'm not particularly hippie, so it's definitely emphasizing that. Back to the gym this week. Gym's open this week. And we had to make appointments because only 20 people allowed in the gym at one time. So every class you have to make an appointment for. So I booked myself in for 3 classes next week. So my first, I mean, I don't really do gym classes. I normally go for like the equipment, machines and weights. I'm a weights person. But that's not open yet. So I have to do classes. So if I'm dead by Saturday, it's death by gym. I got a body pump class on Saturday. I've never done one. It was terrifying. We'll see how we go. All right. On to other subjects. Oh, yeah. The other problem that was with these pants, the thing that was really annoying me that I tried 3 times to fix, and I actually just need to go back to the pattern. I can't fix it on these. Is that, yeah, there's just too much fabric here. Yeah, it's just a crotch line issue. I think the crotch line looks pretty good in the butt. I think that's a fairly good shape. I mean, this could be a little bit further in. But it does mean dragging this one pattern piece even further than it should do, so I don't know if I'll change that or not. And yes, I think these darts should probably be a little bit further out. But yeah, the problem really is this, which I think is weirdly enough, too much fabric right there. It sort of pulls it down. I don't know, I'm going to have to do some more little explorations of this pattern with this sort of fabric. I really want to make it, I've got this gold fabric that I use for the collection. It's like a painted gold thick stretch. I guess it's a stable knit stretch, almost like a ponte, but then it's painted gold with like a thick plastic gold metallic finish. It's very Vegas. And I want some gold pedal pushers. Particularly with this black seam up the back. Even if I did a black seam up the back, but then did like some piping through that seam and then a little bow. That's a bit too retro, do a little bow on the back of the... Anyway, different plans. What I was going to talk about today, other than my outfit, was I was... yesterday, whilst feeling sad and sorry for myself, I did watch a lot of YouTube videos and sewing videos. Sorry, I didn't do a whole lot of commenting. I do feel guilty, but I do it on my TV and I can't comment on my TV, like watching YouTube on the television, which is really annoying. So I need to kind of go back over my history and do some comments because it's a nice thing to do. Because yeah, there were some good videos, but there was also a lot of this lockdown, anxious, I'm sorry, I just don't really seem to be able to sew at the moment kind of feeling. And I'm just calling it like sewing overwhelm. And yeah, I've had moments where I felt it, but it's kind of my business, so I sort of need to get on with it. But I do have, I think, 6 of my best tips for getting over like sewing overwhelm. So just that feeling of like if you've lost your mojo, I can't get it right, I don't want to do it, I can't focus. But you know, or you even like you're trying to begin and you don't know where to begin and it's like completely overwhelming. Because there are things that I do and things that I'm now going to remind myself about, because yesterday I did have overwhelm because I found a problem that in my state of mind I couldn't fix it, and I don't think I can fix it because I can't, it's not an alteration, it's on a garment, it's an alteration to the pattern that I need to make, which doesn't come up that often. So yeah, this is to remind myself that it's not the end of the world. You will get over it, and there are little ways to kind of get back on the horse, so to speak. All right, so my top 6 tips. All right, so number 1 is, the first 2 are like complete cliches. Number 1, keep it simple. Okay, if you want to get back in or you want to start, pick something really simple just to make you feel good. I mean, also I was looking at, there's like a million like millennial sewing YouTubers online who are doing thrift flips and making themselves peasant tops out of curtains and circle skirts out of sheets and doing a really good job. Like, they don't have any pattern making skills. They barely have any sewing skills. And they're making really, really cute little outfits. And so it's not that hard. I mean, there are so many things in sewing we can do that are really hard. And you can get carried away with kind of upskilling and learning, you know, fly fronts and jeans making and jacket tailoring and, you know, horsehair, blah, blah, couture, whatever. But it is actually like really very, very easy just to make something simple to wear. Just to make like a little, I know that the pillowcase dress that I know everybody probably made in home ec, or like a little gathered skirt with a waistband, or a tube skirt, or like, I mean, I've got 3 favorite things in my wardrobe that I like to make, which is basically this top, because I've made 100 of them, which is just a dolman sleeve roll neck top for winter. My little sort of skivvy, like these guys. Yes, this is the same top I was wearing yesterday. I didn't move much yesterday, I figure it's fine. Little roll neck tops and tube skirts. Tube skirts are great. Bias cut skirts, I make lots of those for summer. There are so many simple things that will just make you feel better. And also on the keep it simple, just choose really easy fabrics to work with. Don't go for whatever this stretch weird Lurex is. That was not easy. But like cotton sheets are so easy. I personally, like, if you have an overlocker, I find knit to be the easiest possible thing. So obviously all those things that I just mentioned that I find really easy. Just a nice stable knit, off you go, on a tried and true pattern. It's great, make you feel good. At this time, I don't know if it's a time for really big challenges. We just need to kind of throw some stuff at it and feel good. So number 1, keep it simple. Number 2, don't sweat the small stuff. I told you there was 2 major cliches there. We'll get them out of the way very quickly. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry about the fact that maybe the crotch line doesn't look absolutely perfect. I'm going to get out and wear these anyway. I don't think anybody's really going to care. I mean, we live in a world full of fast fashion with crooked hemlines and bits of thread hanging off it, and we still buy it. We still actually pay money for stuff which is obviously made really badly. So it's not that big a deal. Yeah, don't worry about it. If you've got this major project going on that you've been working on for ages and it doesn't just seem to be working out and like it's stopping you from doing anything else, stop working on it. It's not a big deal. I have noticed a lot of people going, I don't know if, I've only got overlocker thread. I don't know if it'll work on just my domestic machine. Or it's like, give it a shot. Nobody's going to die. It's going to be fine. Oh my God, I just hit a pin on my overlocker. I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about machines. Yeah, actually, that's the next one. All right, tip number 3. Your machine won't kill you. Your sewing machine is not going to kill you. I mean, short of sticking your finger in a PowerPoint and electrocuting yourself, I did have a sewing machine that was an electrical hazard once. So short of that, I have sewn through a finger. I did not die. It's messy. I was dealing in white silk at the time, on a big costume with big white silk wings, and it was really annoying because I did keep working through the costume because it was on a deadline and it got really, really infected. But I did not die, okay? And it actually doesn't really hurt that much. And it's a weird thing to say, a needle going through your finger, but it doesn't really hurt that much. An overlocker. I'm a pretty clumsy, absent-minded person who sews a lot, and I have never managed to cut myself on an overlocker blade. I think unless you had like 10-foot fingernails to get in there, I think it would be very, very difficult to do. And again, it's not going to take your whole finger off. The blade's only like this long. You're not going to die. It's going to be okay. Now, the one thing that I was getting to with keep it simple and everybody kind of panicking a little bit, which I noticed a little bit of, for some reason I found like 3 videos in a row that mentioned it. I sewed over a pin on my overlocker. Oh, babe, I do it all the time. Relax. It's going to be fine. I mean, in terms of like following really good method sewing, I'm not the person to ask because I have really bad method sewing. Lots and lots of little shortcuts that I've either built up over the years or when I was very early just didn't learn the good way. Just kept doing it the bad way. But I had an overlocker before this one. So some people say buy the most expensive machine that you can afford. I bought the cheapest secondhand dodgy overlocker on the market, and it was a good idea for me because I had worked sewing for like I had the lingerie label for maybe 5 or 6 years before I even owned an overlocker, so I didn't want to play. I was quite happy with the techniques that I was using, and I mean, yeah, I was probably scared of the overlocker. I was definitely scared of the overlocker. When I was a small kid, I tell you, my family members sew. It was the one thing I was not allowed to go anywhere near was the overlocker. And I mean, little kid fingers, it's probably a good idea. But yeah, it did create an unnatural fear of the overlocker. It's not that big a deal. It's going to be fine. On my old little machine that was really, really cheap, the only thing that hitting a pin on your overlocker is going to do, one, you might skip a few stitches. Two, you're probably going to have to replace that blade if you keep doing it because you've now made a dull spot on the blade. And three, that pin is now useless. But it is not going to destroy your machine. Trust me, I had the dodgiest machine on the planet. If it was going to be destroyed by a pin, it would have been. And yes, I did have to replace the blade several times. But I mean, it just went to the kind of natural death that cheap overlockers go to. Nothing to do with the blade, mostly to do with terrible tension and just weird laziness of machine. It just went a bit, I don't want to do this. Which is fair enough. Alright, other things. Yes, I do sew over pins on my normal sewing machine as well. I just put them in perpendicular. And if it's a problem where like I don't pin that much, so if a pin's in there, it means I really need something to line up, and I am probably going to keep sewing over the top of it. I use really, really fine number 70 Microtex needles. Yes, they break a few needles, but you're supposed to replace your needle for every 12 hours of sewing, and I've certainly gone for days without replacing a needle, so by the time they break, I figure they're well and truly done anyway. Okay, tip number 4 for your anxiety. If you are really worried about ruining your good fabric, don't use your good fabric. Just do something cheap. Keep it cheap. Don't use all the good stuff. There is heaps and heaps of cheap solutions for just getting out the urge and making something fun. I mean, we've got thrift stores open or op shops open in WA now, which is exciting. So I can go and buy secondhand sheets and whatever to make things out of. Or there's Anglicare down the road which specialises in just having secondhand fabric, like de-stash fabric, which is cool. But I mean, I'm sure you can find something in your linen cupboard or whatever or in your wardrobe that nobody's using anymore. And you can just practice on that. As I said, there's some cute little videos with millennials out there making things out of sheets and curtains and doing thrift flips and modifying everything with a piece of elastic. It's great. They make cute stuff. It's, if that's gonna ease your anxiety, that feeling is like, I can't ruin this because the fabric's expensive, or I can't start sewing because I have to buy a really expensive machine and all the kind of bits and pieces that go with it. No. I'm going to go with buy a really cheap secondhand machine. Do all the little... Yeah, alright, so sometimes a secondhand machine can be a little bit pesky. Like, they have little things that they do and don't like to do. So I could probably do a little video on how to be nice to a pesky machine if you want one that's being a little bit sensitive. All the little things that you could check, let me know. But yes, it's a little bit like the IT crowd. Have you turned it off and turned it on again? Okay, let's just do it now. Since I'm in a dribbly, let's have a chat mood. I've got post that needs to go. I've got 2 orders that need to go. I've got 2 that are being picked up. Veronica, I love you. I can't find that bralette. This is my really good Polish friend Veronica, who's been supporting my business for years on end and being a really good friend to me, who has ordered 2 of the bodysuits, but she remembered a bralette that I'd made years ago and as a sample, and I said, oh, I'll make you one in your size, which I never did, because it was screen printed and I didn't have those facilities available to me anymore. But she still wants it, even though it's the wrong size. I can't find it. I will find it. I'm waiting for that epiphany to strike me because there is a whole bag of small pieces from the collection, things like underwear and tights, and I don't know where it is. I don't know. But I'll find it. I've moved a lot of stuff around. It's got to be here somewhere. Okay, all right. So quick pesky machine tips. I'm going to do it now. Turn it on and off again. Is it plugged in? Is the pedal plugged in? Okay, look up the manual online and find out how to clean it and how to oil it. But in general, moving parts need a little bit of oil and all those bits of dust. If you have got an old cosmetic brush, like we've all bought, well, okay, not all of us, but I definitely have, and I know quite a few other people have had, cosmetic brush sets which have got brushes in it that you don't use. Just use one of those. Clean it out. If it's like an overlocker that's full of crud, get the vacuum cleaner. Just clean it right out. Rethread the whole thing. Change the needle. Make sure the needle's in correctly. Make sure the needle is pushed up as high as it can go in the little slot. This is particularly true of overlockers because they've got to meet and catch at exactly the right point as the needle comes down. And if the needle's not fully in its little case, then it won't catch at the right spot. So make sure that's the case. All the little tension dials, make sure they don't have muck in them. That really messed with my Benina once. What else? If your needle keeps breaking, make sure you've got the right machine foot on, because a zigzag on just a narrow stitch foot isn't going to work. Definitely done that. Yeah, on an overlocker you might need to change the blade if it's not cutting properly. You can also use an overlocker without the blade on. You've just got to be quite precise as you're feeding everything through. But if you're worried about the blade, you can use it without. I was working in a factory where they had no blades on the machines because precision required meant that cutting any bit off was a very bad idea. Yeah, that's it. So if you buy a secondhand machine and your tension issues sometimes can be very, very difficult to fix. My main tip for messing around with tension is to get your straight stitch. Use 2 different colours of thread as well if you can, or multiple colours of thread so you can track down which one it is that isn't sitting where it's supposed to, so if it's pulling out or all the rest of it. And then flick the tension on that thread as far to the left as you possibly can and see what it does, as far to the right as you possibly can to see what it does, and then you'll have a better idea of where it should be and just moderate it through the middle. Other things on tension, make sure that all of the bits and the loops aren't catching on anything. So anything that's catching or stuck on the wrong hook in an overlocker will affect the tension. If you've ever used a knitting machine, that is delicate tension land. They get caught on everything too, those things, because they're on long hoops that go into the sky. Okay, yeah, I think that's my basic machine tips. And then on the other tips for overwhelm, after keep it cheap, which I just did, if you're really unsure about something, just test it. Just test if it's going to work. Is this metallic thread going to work? Test it on a little bit. Can I use this stitch on this stretch fabric? run some stitches on a little test bit, stretch it out. If the stitch pops, no, it doesn't work. If it all stays in place, yes, it does work. If it frills and catches, no, it doesn't work. Yeah, just test it. It'll be fine. Just before you go onto your main garment and completely chuck a tantrum because it didn't go right, just test it. It'll be fine. Oh, another trick for a machine that's being a little bit pesky is that you might have to get, there's little strips of interfacing that you can put on your seams. Because I have had a really old machine that really had trouble, particularly on knits, picking up the thread as it went along. And so if you interface every single seam, particularly like a wash away interfacing, it'll catch better and you'll get a nice stitch. It's a lot more of extra work, but and it's extra expense as well. The whole point of getting a cheap machine just to practice is so that it doesn't cost you very much and you can just learn and practice. There is there are sewing machine secondhand dealers. Like even here in Perth, there's a sewing machine secondhand dealer, and they'll let you test it before you buy it. So yeah, make sure you do that. That it does seem to do a straight stitch and a zigzag and all that stuff. My neighbour's dog's out. Great. Anyway, yes, that was my big dribbling long chat here on a Monday. I'm off to the post. Have a lovely day. See ya.